Today we are here to talk about cancel culture. What is it, and how can we put a stop to it? But before we get into it, guys, I want to say thank you so much for the support received since the launch of Generation Millennial YouTube channel. It feels amazing to be producing content that I'm passionate about, and that you guys enjoy as well. So if you're new to the channel, please like, share, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. Follow Generation Millennial on Twitter and Instagram. Handles are always available in the description below. Channel updates will always be posted there first. Anyways, let's get into today's episode. Cancel culture. We all know about it, but what is it? Well, by definition, cancel culture refers to the popular practice of withdrawing support for public figures and companies after they have done or said something considered objectionable or offensive. Cancel culture is generally discussed as being performed on social media in the form of group shaming. So in short, cancel culture is a group of people who try to ruin a person or business through social media in the name of social justice. We have seen this several times already online with high-profile people. Back in 2018, James Gunn, director of both Guardians of the Galaxy films, was fired by the Walt Disney Corporation after outrage sparked online for offensive tweets that he posted in 2008 and 2011, talking about such topics as rape, pedophilia, 9/11, and the Holocaust. Walt Disney Studios chairman Alan Horn said in a statement, "The offensive attitudes and statements discovered on James's Twitter feed are indefensible and inconsistent with our studio's values, and we have severed our business relationship with him." Gunn was subsequently rehired after cast members pressed for his reinstatement and will be directing Guardians 3. Back in 2017, PewDiePie lost a deal with Disney after he received backlash for posting two guys on Fiverr holding up a sign with an anti-Semitic phrase on his channel as a joke. YouTube spokesperson said, "We've decided to cancel the release of Scare PewDiePie Season 2, and we're removing the PewDiePie channel from Google Preferred." PewDiePie responded on Tumblr stating, "I make videos for my audience. I think of the content that I create as entertainment, and not a place for any serious political commentary. I know my audience understand that, and that is why they come to my channel. Though this is not my intention, I understand that these jokes were ultimately offensive." Though this was a minor setback for PewDiePie, he still stands as one of the largest independent creators on the YouTube platform. In 2019, Saturday Night Live decided to fire new hire Shane Gillis after racist and homophobic slurs made on his podcast resurfaced. After talking with Shane Gillis, we have decided that he will not be joining SNL, a spokesperson for the show said in a statement. "We were not aware of his prior remarks that have surfaced over the past few days. The language he used is offensive, hurtful, and unacceptable." Gillis responded to his firing over Twitter, writing, "It feels ridiculous for comedians to be making serious public statements, but here we are. I'm a comedian who was funny enough to get on SNL. That can't be taken away," he wrote. "Of course, I wanted an opportunity to prove myself at SNL, but it would be too much of a distraction. I respect the decision they made. I am honestly grateful for the opportunity." Jim Jeffries blamed the backlash on cancel culture. The guy shouldn't have been fired. It's just a couple of things back in his history. Are we going to go through everyone's history? Or are we going to go to every sketch that SNL has done that involves race? He asked. I think he makes a very good point. But canceling isn't just being battered and bashed online. Cancel culture impacts our history and has been pertinent in the social conversation as of late. In June, Black Lives Matter protesters in Parliament Square spray-painted the words, "Was a racist" on the statue of Winston Churchill. It comes after petitions were launched to remove statues of controversial people around London, such as Robert Milligan and West India Quays. The man that led Britain through the Second World War, defended the British people, and helped defeat fascism is now branded a controversial figure. The Metropolitan Police say they are seeking to identify those responsible for the damage to the memorial. Still across the pond, the statue of Edward Colston, a 17th century merchant, philanthropist, and slave trader, was spray-painted with graffiti and torn down by a mob in Bristol. But instead of cracking down on the vandalism and destruction of property, the Bristol mayor, Marvin Rees, called the removal of the Colston statue historical poetry and couldn't hide his satisfaction as the statue was hauled from its plinth and thrown off a quayside. Moving back over to the States, the leader of a Chicago Italian-American community, Gabriel Piemonte, calls for the permanent removal of the Columbus statue after its temporary removal in July, stating the symbol is dead. Italian Americans don't want it. It is a disgrace to the city. Make the removal permanent. Yes. Columbus is no longer relevant. One of the greatest Italian or just explorers generally in human history. no longer relevant. He's a monster. Scrap him. But the fun doesn't stop there. A committee formed by D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser issued a report recommending the removal, relocation, or contextualization of several federal monuments, including Washington, Benjamin Franklin, and Thomas Jefferson. So the Founding Fathers are no longer safe from cancel culture because these men in the 18th century owned slaves. What do we need to contextualize about this? At a time when slavery was socially acceptable, I don't understand. In light of these events come fundamental questions. Are we going to hold figures of our past to the moral standards of today? To what point do we condemn historical figures? Values and norms change from society to society, and as time progresses, I think it's unfair to completely disregard all aspects of a person or entity's positive achievements because there might be one potential negative aspect to them. In the present, we can learn from the past in order to move forward as a society to a better, more moral future. If people want to remove these statues democratically, they have the right to do that. But defacing and or removing these statues by force is not the way forward as a society. Those statues should be in a museum, if not a public square, or maintained for record's sake. But would the mobs we see today be satisfied with these icons still visible to the public eye? Or would they not rest until we have eradicated any controversial figure from history? If we continue on this path, the snake will continue to eat its own tail. So how have the corporations responded to cancel culture? Well, in a predictable fashion, they have decided to be spineless and bend the knee.
Bend the knee or suffer the fate of all traitors.
In June, HBO decided to temporarily remove Gone with the Wind. HBO Max has now responded by removing the film and releasing a statement acknowledging that its racist depictions were wrong then and are wrong today. At the same time, the statement suggests that the removal is only temporary. These depictions are certainly counter to Warner Media's values, so when we return to HBO Max, it will return with a discussion of its historical context and a denouncement of those very depictions, but will be presented as it was originally created, because to do otherwise would be the same as claiming these prejudices never existed. Since its removal, the movie is now back on HBO Max with historical context. Another example of this is the BBC removing Little Britain from Netflix and BBC iPlayer. Little Britain has been removed from all UK streaming platforms due to concerns about the use of blackface by its two stars, David Walliams and Matt Lucas. The comedy sketch show, which first aired in 2003 on BBC Three, has been removed from Netflix, BritBox, and BBC iPlayer, with the pair's follow-up, Come Fly With Me, also taken down by Netflix for the same reason. The show has come under fire again recently amid renewed focus on issues of race and representation at a time when Black Lives Matter protests are taking place across the globe. I saw this tweet on Upworthy on Instagram. By the way, go follow us on Twitter and Instagram if you haven't already. It goes, if we replace cancel culture with critical thinking, we'd have empathetic conversations instead of emotional reactions. And, by talking, we learn to separate honest mistakes from actual hate. And I completely agree with that. So many people are quick to jump on a person, business, thing, and there leaves no room for productive solutions. People make mistakes. They change. They learn and grow. And often their actions are reflective of the social attitudes of the time. That needs to be taken into account. To cancel someone is to negate the possibility for positive change or impact in the future, and that judgment needs to be trashed immediately. So I'll leave you with the words of Barry. There is this sense that the way of me making change is to be as judgmental as possible about other people, and that's not enough. That's not activism. That's not bringing about change if all you're doing is casting stones. You're probably not going to get that far. That's easy to do. Or, in simpler terms, he or she that lives in a glass house should not cast stones. If you would like the chance to get a shout out in next week's episode, drop a like and a comment on this video. As always, we appreciate your support on the last few episodes and look forward to having you in the next week. I'll see you guys later.